Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're re-diving into a historical mystery that has puzzled scholars for centuries. The death of Queen Elizabeth I for 44 years. She was the formidable Virgin Queen, the ruler of England's golden age. But how did this iconic monarch meet her end? The official story is one thing, but the reality might be far more complex. On March 24, 1603, Queen Elizabeth I died at Richmond Palace. She was nearly 70 years old, a remarkable age for the time, and had ruled longer than any of her Tudor predecessors. In the weeks leading up to her death, she had fallen into a deep melancholy, refusing food, refusing medicine, and even refusing to go to bed, choosing instead to stand for hours on end, propped up by cushions. When she finally passed, the official cause of death was recorded as essentially old age. But is that the whole story? Let's peel back the layers. One of the most persistent and, frankly, dramatic theories revolves around her makeup. We've all seen the portraits: a stark white face, bright red lips, and a high hairline. This look wasn't just a fashion statement. It was a symbol of power and purity. The white foundation she used was called Venetian ceruse, a mixture of white lead and vinegar. Yes, you heard that right, lead? For decades, Elizabeth slathered this toxic cosmetic onto her skin to cover the smallpox scars she acquired in her late 20s. Lead is a potent neurotoxin. Prolonged exposure can lead to a host of horrifying symptoms: hair loss, skin deterioration, cognitive decline, and even organ failure. Some historians argue that the Queen's final illness, with its strange behavior and deep depression, was a direct result of cumulative lead poisoning. Her famous temper, her indecisiveness in later years, and her physical decay could all be symptoms. It is a chilling thought that the very mask she wore to project an image of timeless youth and power might have been slowly killing her from the inside out. Another intriguing theory points to a different kind of poisoning: blood poisoning or sepsis. This idea stems from her final days. Accounts from her ladies-in-waiting describe the Queen having a settled and unremovable melancholy. One detail often mentioned is that she held a finger in her mouth for long periods. Some speculate she had a painful tooth infection or an abscess. In an era without antibiotics, a simple dental problem could easily turn deadly. If bacteria from an abscess entered her bloodstream, it would lead to sepsis, causing fever, confusion, and eventually organ shutdown symptoms that align quite well with the historical descriptions of her final days. There's also a story that her coronation ring, which she had worn for 44 years, had grown into her flesh. When it was finally cut off shortly before her death, it supposedly left a festering wound that became infected. This could have also been a potential source for sepsis. While the ring story is dramatic, the dental abscess theory is considered more plausible by many medical historians today. It provides a specific, traceable cause for a systemic infection. Let's not forget the psychological aspect. The last years of Elizabeth's reign were filled with loss. Many of her closest and most trusted advisors and friends had died, including William Cecil, her chief minister, and Robert Dudley, the love of her life. The final blow came in 1601 with the execution of Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex. Essex was her young favorite, almost a surrogate son, but he betrayed her by leading a rebellion. Though she signed his death warrant, his execution is said to have plunged her into a deep and lasting grief from which she never truly recovered. Contemporary accounts describe her sitting in silence for hours, weeping and sighing over Essex's name. Could she have died of a broken heart? In modern medical terms, we might call it Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, or broken heart syndrome, a condition where intense emotional stress can weaken the heart muscle. While we can't diagnose it posthumously, it is undeniable that the profound grief and depression she experienced would have severely weakened her already aging body, making her more susceptible to any physical illness that came her way. Another theory ties back to the environment of the Tudor court. The palaces were notoriously cold and damp, especially in the winter months. In the weeks before her death, Elizabeth was said to have caught a chill after a walk in the gardens. This could have easily developed into pneumonia or bronchitis. For a 69-year-old woman already weakened by grief, malnutrition, and possibly chronic poisoning, a severe respiratory infection could certainly have been fatal. Her refusal to go to bed or take medicine would have made her recovery virtually impossible. So what do we have? We have a cocktail of potential causes. There's the slow, insidious damage of lead poisoning from her makeup. There's the acute, deadly possibility of sepsis from a tooth infection. There's the crushing weight of grief and depression that shattered her will to live. And there's the simple, common threat of an infection like pneumonia, which her weakened body could no longer fight. So what's the most likely answer? The truth is, it was probably not one single thing. It was likely a cascade of failure, as one historian put it. Imagine this scenario. Decades of lead exposure have already compromised her nervous system and organs. A painful dental abscess introduces a bacterial infection into her bloodstream. Overwhelmed by the loss of her closest companions, she falls into a deep depression, refusing to eat or rest, further weakening her immune system. Then she catches a cold, which quickly turns into pneumonia. Her body, already fighting on multiple fronts, simply gives out. In the end, Queen Elizabeth I, the unmovable Rock of England, died in a way that was profoundly human. Her death wasn't a single, dramatic event, but a slow decline, a culmination of the physical and emotional burdens she had carried for decades. The exact cause may forever be debated, but piecing together these clues gives us a much richer, more tragic, and more complete picture of the final days of the legendary Virgin Queen. Her death marked the end of the Tudor dynasty and the end of an era, but the mystery surrounding it ensures she remains as fascinating as ever. What do you think is the most compelling theory? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this historical deep dive, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. We'll see you in the next one.